I'm Wendy Carazori from IDC World Source, and thank you very much for joining us here today. I'm going to be introducing Ron Madzia, who's doing the Option One Travel webinar today for you all. So I think most of you probably know Ron, but here's a little bit of history on Ron. He has been in the insurance and investment industry close to 40 years. He has held various management positions, primarily with North American Life and Canada Life early in his career. He was in charge for sales hiring and was initially responsible for the growth of the investment firm Edward Jones in Canada. And along with Paul Leonard, Ron was one of the founding partners for close to 20 years and the driving force behind what was IDC Financial, which became IDC World Source as we know it today. Ron then stepped down as president of IDC World Source over 5 years ago and is now focused on working with advisors and consumers with travel insurance solutions for their clients. With that, I will turn it over to Ron, and I will also share my screen so he will have a presentation to actually present.
Thanks, Wendy, and good afternoon, IDC winners. Please enjoy your Canada Day and your long weekend. Again, welcome to the webinar. As you're well aware, it's been a very bumpy ride when it comes to travel insurance over the last 2.5 years. Hopefully, most of the problems and delays from the carriers are behind us, and we can now move forward with the new reality. Today, we're going to cover some of the changes with the carriers and how you can get registered to use our site and using the quote systems and changes in benefits. Basically, all the insurance companies have made significant changes to their benefit structures related to COVID primarily. Plus, all the companies have changed in some way, shape, or form how you qualify for and what constitutes payment for trip cancellation and trip interruption. I know because I went through this personally myself on my last trip. These changes are really too numerous and different between each carrier to discuss today. So feel free to call us if you are unsure how to proceed with any of these benefits. And really, people, I ask you that take a hard look at these benefits before you either present them or offer them to a client and fully understand them to make sure there's no challenges going forward. Changes in coverage amounts. Some obviously have changed their coverages. Manulife specifically changed their maximum coverage from 200,000 to $1 million related to COVID. Others have amounts as high as 5 million. So again, be very sure of when you're doing quotes for your clients that you know exactly what the amounts are. Some carriers offer COVID-19 as a standalone product, such as Allianz. And one of the things I don't like about that is that when you do a quote for a client with Allianz, you have to really do 2 quotes or 2 applications. You have to do one for the COVID and you have to do one for, say, the emergency medical or other benefits that you offer them. Others offer it combined with their emergency medical, such as Manulife and Tugo, while others offer it as a rider on their emergency medical plan, such as TourMed. There's also been significant changes to how to qualify for and receive benefits, as I mentioned, for trip interruption and trip cancellation. Just make sure you're fully aware of how these products work before offering them to your clients. Now, we are here to assist you with those choices, so feel free to call us if you're unsure of any of these benefits with these specific carriers. Not all insurance carriers are offering full service to completing sales of emergency medical and COVID-19 products on the Option One website. Before going any further, I want to just divert here for a second. You know, all the insurance companies, regardless of who they are, especially the ones that offer travel insurance, all those companies work in silos. And what I mean by that is some of their individual product lines work separate from other areas. For instance, if you look at a company like Manulife's biggest part of their business would be their, insurance business, the regular independent individual insurance business, and their investment business. Those areas get most of the allocation of people and financial investment or support than the others, where travel insurance is the one that gets the least amount of support. And I bring that up because all these companies that we're offering, some of them, especially when COVID happened, they took their time to get their own house in order before they would look at working with any of the, what I call third-party distributors. So just bear with me here. So basically what I'm saying is that these companies, as they go forward, will get back to full capacity as they invest more time and resources into their products. From this point going forward, right now, we are offering 3 carriers that are live and offer full benefits of all their products. And that would be Manulife, IA, Tugo, and Tourmed. And you can work these companies directly from the Option One website. Some of these companies still are only doing business through their own website. And 2 in particular for us are Allianz and Medivie Blue Cross. There's eventually going to be 5 travel insurance companies that will be offering to IDC World Source advisors. 3 that currently have access to are the ones I mentioned, Manulife, IA, Tugo, and Tourmed. The other 2 are Allianz and Medivie Blue Cross. Currently, Allianz and Blue Cross have not updated their APIs. And for those who don't know, APIs are called application interfaces. That allows a third party, which is us, to be able to access their info from their technology and import it directly into our website. They haven't given us the resources to do that yet. First of all, Allianz hasn't, and Blue Cross hasn't even developed a third-party site as of yet. But we are expecting over the next little while that all those carriers will be up and running, but we're at their mercy until they allocate the resources or the people to be able to get that done. Let's take a look at how you get started with us, right? And here what we're going to be looking at today: how to join and register for our website, how to do a quote, new carriers to follow, new products and services coming to our website. First thing you do is you go obviously to the Option One, the print screen on the homepage to get to key in the option1travel.com is highlighted in the yellow above. On the homepage, click on Become a Distributor where the red arrow is. Next, you click on I am an IDC WIN advisor. And the next area is your personal data, which is you need to simply complete all your personal data. Your username will be the same that you currently use for your access to IDC WIN or the WIN Big website. For me, I believe the way they do it, Wendy, you can correct me, but I believe it's the first 4 letters of your last name and the first 2 letters of your first name. So my situation, Ron Madzia, would be MADZRO is my username. After you do that, you put in your own password. So that's basically how you do that area. Hit next at the bottom to get to the second page. On that page, provide your licensing information, and that is licensing information related to travel insurance. On page 3, provide your E&O information. And on page 4, as we talked about before, you provide all your carrier selling codes, whichever one is applicable. And again, these are selling codes related to travel insurance. And just as a heads up, if you don't have an Industrial Allianz Tugo/Tugo carrier code or a Tourmed or Manulife code, you can't sell those products. So make sure that you're putting in the selling codes for those products that you're licensed for. If you're not, or contracted for, if you're not contracted with people, you need to get with your regional contracted person to put them in place.
Ron, I do have a question.
Sure.
Ian Calloway, he's asking if we've registered with Option One last year, do we need to re-register?
No. And good question, Ian. The answer is no. I mean, when we attempted to open last year before we had more issues with some of the carriers, we had about 50 people register at that time. So if you were already registered when the site goes live, Ian, you will not need to register again. Authorize Option One for the use of your submitted information. Or you have to give us your permission. Then submit the completed form. You should receive a welcome email within the next working day. The welcome email will provide you a link to creating your password. Once you get that, click here and you can go through the balance to put your password in, then you are officially registered. Once you have created the password, you can now start using the website. It's that simple. So if you are unsure, please contact your regional IDC World Source contract specialist, as they will have all your info related to licensing, contracting, E&O, and selling codes that you will need to input on the Option One website for registry.
Also, I guess I could mention here too, Ron, that all that information for advisors is, if you have an Apexa profile, it's in there. If you don't have an Apexa profile, you could also always use the IDC Win Big live chat. So that is available from 8:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time to typically 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you could always engage in a live chat with us as well.
Let's take a look at how you would do a quote for your client. When you go to the home page, you would click on quote at the top in the menu bar. Indicate if the travelers are Canadians or not. Obviously, they probably are, unless it's visitors to Canada. If you choose yes, you'll be required to provide information, read their health plan coverage. And again, those are just yes answers.
Why do we need to insert a password?
Well, first of all, because there's going to be information that you store on there that's going to be personal to you. You're going to be able to do personal quotes. You're going to have personal factual information about yourself on there. So you need to be able to, we want you to be the only person that can access that. If everybody has the same username like they do for IDC Win Big or a Win Big or IDC website, you know, you got to have some kind of a password system to be able to protect your information. I hope that answers your question. If you answer yes to both, the rest of the form will open up, provide all the information, and then click next. What will happen then, the system will start searching for available quotes. It shows IA there, but what that is, it's a looping thing. It shows IA, Manulife, Tour Manager, just all the company logos of companies that we offer, and then your quote will come up. As I said, if you look at the red arrows, you will have four choices listed above. They are the purchase button. You also have a save quote button, which is the kind of turquoise button. You have a view policy button, and you have a modified quote request. And this is one thing I really like about our site. If you do some of these, any of those various services with any of the other carriers, sometimes you have to go out and go back in, you lose information, you have to insert all that data. If you want to change a quote, it's very, very, sometimes not complicated, but it's tedious. With us, it's much simpler. You can do all this stuff from this one slide. It makes it a lot easier for you from a standpoint if you want to basically kind of look at various options without having to make a decision and losing all that data.
Correct.
Option one, yes, there's only one, obviously one username, right? And that was an IDC World Source request that their username for our site be the same as they use for everything else, but you create only one password. It's not passwords for other carriers, it's just password to get on our site. I mean, if you have a password, if you go directly into any of those other travel insurance carrier websites, you have to have your own username and password for those. They're not combined with us. We are strictly a service provider to you, IDC World Source advisors. So all we're giving you is choice as far as, you know, so when you, for instance, when you do a quote with us, you know, you can get 2 or 3 different carriers at one time without having to go into 3 different sites. And then if you decide to go ahead with one, you can actually do a quote right from there. But so we're just really a comparison tool that allows you to do business. So there are not multiple passwords, just one. Yes, the one thing I wanted to mention is very hard to see in this slide, but about midway, you'll see a thing that says view deductibles. It's kind of in the middle of the slide. It's a very small box. And what we did there is that, and I found this is very non-confusing too, is that a lot of carriers and some of the other third-party distributors, they will show you different quotes of the same product with different deductibles. With us, all our quotes are with no deductibles, but at this point on this part of the quotation system, if you wanted to insert deductibles, you can click on there and a drop-down box will show you all the different deductibles available for that carrier. So you can kind of fool around and play with that there to see if you wanted to add a deductible to lower the premium for a client. It's nice to have that all in one area to be able to do it and to do it quickly without having, again, to input data more than once. Okay, the other thing on that box is, as I said before, and this is important, if you choose the view policy, you will pull up an actual copy of that chosen carrier's products and their policy. Which is beneficial again with all these changes that have happened, especially with things like trip interruption and trip cancellation. And you want to know all the possible exclusions within some of those products before you go ahead and offer the product to the client. So gives you a chance that you can actually, at that previous slide, click on view policy and get a copy of it. In this situation, if it was Manulife, you could take a look at the actual Manulife policy before you go ahead and decide you want to go ahead with that product. If you choose modify quote request, this will take you back to the previously filled out obtain a quote page so you can make the changes you want. And again, I know with some of these carriers, if you go out of their quote and go back, you have to start over again. And it's very much a pain, how can I put it, that especially if the client is over 60, because if you get into clients over 60, not only you have to put in their data again, you got to answer the medical questions again with most of the carrier quote illustration systems before you actually get a quote. With us, you don't have to do that. You'll get a quote pre the medical questions, and you can make those changes quickly without having to go out and lose all that data. It is also simple to save client quotes as opposed to some of the carrier websites, as I mentioned. I kind of mentioned that in the last slide, is that with us, you can do multiple different carrier quotes and store them in your own profile under the Option One website. So if you did multiple quotes on the illustration software of the carriers, you'd have to keep 3 or 4 different quotes. Us, you can do all the different carrier quotes, maintain them under your profile on the Option One website. You can access my account from the menu bar at the top. And by clicking on this section, you can view all of your saved quotes and access the client information simply and quickly. As I said before, sometimes, like I said, a client will call in, they want just information on a policy number or other information. You can get that from the My Account area because you can save all your information for your client quotes and save quotes from our website and access them at any time. When you select Purchase, the payment page will open up and you'll be able to input all your client data to complete the purchase. You will need to make the client, this is important too, as you know, with all the, compliance situations now, you will need to make the client aware of the terms and conditions and the eligibility of the policy your client is purchasing. So you need to make sure, this is why we have the policy on there that you can read through with them if you want to read through the eligibility, et cetera, and any of the exclusion information that they have to sign off on. So before you go ahead and complete the sale, you have to get them to sign off that they are aware of all the travelers agree to the basic rules of that individual company or product that they are purchasing. Okay, you may proceed to complete the purchase or return to the quote results to view other available quotes. Once you have completed the purchase, the carrier will automatically send the confirmation and policy to the email provided, the client email obviously, provided on the payment page. The sale is now complete. It gives you an example of this slide. It shows all the PDF files, et cetera, that a client would see in the email that they received. Okay, some of the new carriers coming soon that I want to talk about. We've talked a little bit about Menadee Blue Cross. Now, Blue Cross is not new to IDC WorldSource, especially for our advisors in Atlantic Canada, Quebec, et cetera, and some of Ontario, obviously. I mentioned Blue Cross earlier. Although IDC WorldSource has been dealing with these guys for some time, most of that has been in the disability side of business, or basically what I would call group side of the business. Any of the travel insurances, even I believe in Quebec for sure, and I also believe in Atlantic Canada, they do it through a third-party provider. You can't deal direct with them. I could be wrong. But one of the things we're trying to get on board with them is they do not have an API yet where we can import their information into our site yet. We're hoping to get at some point this year, either late this year or early next year. But again, we're at the mercy of them to do this. I quite like their product though. From a competitive standpoint, it's very competitive. It's very easy to from a medical question standpoint, when you get into over 60 applications, it's quite easy to use. So hopefully we'll get to that product at some point in the near future.
Basically, how do you get contracted, and how do I get contract and code from option one?
What we'll do is we'll put together a kind of a tutorial that we can send out, or that we can email to you, that tells you how to get onto the site. It's relatively easy. If you walk through, it'll be a bullet point kind of explanation, instructions of how to do that. But it's relatively easy. You don't need a code for us because remember, we're not receiving any monies here, right? At this point, for any of the businesses that you're doing with IDC WorldSource, we don't touch compensation. Whatever your arrangements are with IDC, it's the same. There's nothing coming to us. We get no part of it. So, like I said, all we are is a service provider. So, I mean, when getting on our site, there's no special code for us or whatever. You register with the site and you can start doing business. Everything else is the same as it was before. Instead of using the carrier website, you're just using ours. That's all. A couple of new products and service. We've talked about this. Okay, I talked about this last time. This is a great service, and it's not a insurance product. It's like you join this as like an association club or something. And what it is, what this gives you, it's a membership program that if you use this service, if you have a serious medical problem while you're abroad, wherever it is, they will come home and pick you up. They will come home and pick you up and take you home and take you to the hospital of your choice. Again, as I said before, the thing we pride ourselves in is customer service. And one of the things I've done, I've worked with a number of advisors, helped them with cases, helped their clients with cases, helped with understanding, helped them get licensed or contract with carriers. We're here to help you. Like I said, our allegiance isn't to any travel insurance company. Our allegiance is to advisors. And you have two people that you can go to for assistance. Is myself and Renee Rockburn. Renee has been in the travel insurance business for like over 40 years. He's developed products. He knows that business inside out too. He's a great resource. He's especially good if you have difficult cases with clients who have medical problems, etc. Again, we're here to help you. So anytime you need our support, you have the numbers and the email addresses that you can reach us. Even the info at option1travel.com, it goes directly to my email, and even the toll-free number goes forwarded to my cell phone. So we always answer our calls. Outside of that, I want to thank you today for for being part of our website, our webinar meeting. And if you have any other additional questions, we'll be sending out some tutorials on how to get registered. And the other thing I'll be doing over the next few weeks, I'm going to be calling people who are, I would call travel insurance friendly, to help them to get registered and to answer any questions you may have on a personal level. So thanks, and I appreciate your patience. It's been a pretty tough year or so with us to get this thing going. I mean, if I want to give you guys any advice, don't start a travel insurance company in a pandemic. It's not a good idea. Okay.
Ron, we do have another question from Ian Calloway. He says, if we are registered with option one, but use one of the 3 current travel insurers travel websites, does this still track with option one, or how does that work?
Yes, because whether you use our website or not, the business is still being paid to you and to IDC. So, I mean, the only benefit of using our site is that you have more information. And another webinar, we're going to go over more in depth. There are some great services you can get on our website that I'll go over at another webinar. But yeah, whether you still continue to use carrier websites or directly, or if you do business through us, after that point, it's all the same channel. business goes directly to, the client receives their policy, you get your information, you get paid directly from the carrier as you are now, and whatever IDC WorldSource receives for their commissions, they get paid directly. Like I said, there's no monies coming to us. We don't participate in that part. So you have a choice. You can go through us or you can go directly as you've always done. All we want you to do is to at least sample and try our services as we go forward. I think as you go forward, you may find that it's a little more simple or simpler than dealing with some of the carrier websites and quotation systems.